Now let's learn about async await. So what is async await? Which is just a way to use promises, so better way to work with promises. So if you see here, we need to attach multiple dots then, and it gets complicated. So instead of that, we can use async await. So let's say I have function display which returns string hello, and if I call this function, I'll just log it to the console display. If you check, you get that hello data back. But instead of declaring this normal function, if I add this async keyword, what will happen? So when you add async keyword to any function, that function does not return string hello. It will return a promise fulfilled with hello. So if you see here, you can see you get a promise fulfilled with hello. So this code is exactly same as writing function display. Here you return new promise, then you get resolve, reject, and you just call resolve hello. So if you check now, you get exact same result. So both of this code and this code are exactly same. So when you declare a function as async, it means it returns a promise. So you can simplify this. So you can again add promise dot resolve. So you can see it still works the same. So this, when you declare a function as async, it returns a promise. By default returns a promise. So this is one way to declare a function. You can have function as arrow function. So when I say display equal to normal function expression syntax. When you have function expression syntax, you return this, and to make this async, before this function keyword, you add async keyword. And now you can see, let me comment this out, and now you can see you get exact same result. So this is another way to declare a function expression syntax, or you can use function arrow function syntax. I'll copy this, I will comment this out, and I will add async here. So there are different ways to declare a function. You need to remember where you are adding. Before function keyword, you need to add that everywhere. And here you don't have function keyword, so before the bracket you need to add. Now you can see it works the similar. So when you declare a function as async, it returns a promise. So now for the to get the actual data, so you can see we are getting a promise fulfilled with hello. But I want to get that hello text. How can I get? So because this function returns a promise, we need to attach dot then here to get the actual data. I can just log result. Now you can see you get that hello printed. So if I log result, you can see this is the data. You get actual data once you use dot then. So you can use dot then, and you also need to attach dot catch. So this is how you can get the data. So we'll take this function and convert into async await. So how to use that? So let's say we'll comment out this. So I have this function. I need to use, instead of using dot then and dot catch, I want to use async await syntax. So what we can do is I will declare a function. So let's say const get posts, and I will declare this function. Inside this, now I will call this axios.get. So I don't need this, and I will call this get post function. Now previously with dot then you need to attach dot then for a function if you are using promises, but I want to use async await. So what is await? So just before this, so when any function or something returns a promise, you can attach await before that. So this get function axios.get method returns a promise. So when something returns a promise, you can attach dot await here. and you can use await only inside async function. So I cannot use without async function because await does not work without async queue. So every function you need to, so whenever you are using await, you need to declare that function as async. Now I don't need to attach dot, then I can directly access result, and if I print result, you can see you get the exact same data. The actual data comes in the data property. This is the actual 100 posts you have. So this is a better way to work with promises. So you don't have to use multiple dot then. So let's say, and now whenever you are using await, so previously with promises, to if something goes wrong, we add dot catch to handle that. But with promises, when you are using async await, you need to attach try catch here. So write your await code inside try and add catch block. So inside catch, you can handle that error. When something goes wrong, if promise gets rejected, there is some error, then catch will execute and your handler will execute and your program will not stop. You get the exact same data. Async await both are used together. So when you declare a function async, it returns a promise. And let's use the same sum function now. So where is sum function? So I have this sum function. You can write better code with await, with async await. So let's say this is the sum function. This exact same function, now I want to use async await syntax. So previously what we do is we attach some, let's say 1 2 3, we attach result, then you will get that result. So let's say I will log this result and you will return result from here. So if you have single statement, you can directly return result from here. Then you attach another dot then. Now this result, so let's say now I will add console.log result sum1 result. Now I will call again sum2. So let's say sum2 equal to, again call sum result, then 2 3 4, and now I will return this sum2. When you return something from dot, then you can attach one more dot then, and there you will get the actual data of that result. Now I will print here sum2 result. Now I will again call this, let's say sum3. You can use different name also if you want. I am using the same name. So you can see this is how you work with dot then and dot catch when you are using promises. So this is, you can see it's a lot complicated. It's difficult to understand at first when you see it. So instead of that, to make it easier, you can use async await. So right now with this code, you can see sum1 is 6, sum2 is 13. So you correctly get that data, and you whatever you are returning, you can attach one more dot then, and that is the final result. Attach final result. So after 3 seconds, so this promise waits for 3 seconds. So before resolving, so after 3 seconds we are executing this. You can see if I refresh, you see first sum1 will be printed after 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, sum2 will be printed, and then after 3 seconds, sum3, which is the result, actual final result, will be printed. So this is the actual final result that is printed. So this is a lot of complex code and not easy to understand. So instead of this, we can use async await. So I can write a function. So to use await, you have to write it inside a function. So get sum, const get sum equal to, you can use normal function also. Now here I will call this sum. Now previously with dot then, you have to attach dot then. Now as I am using async await, and this sum function returns a promise. So I can just use await here, and instantly I will get sum1 as the result, and I can print this sum1. Let me comment this out, and we'll call this sum get sum function. After 3 seconds you will see sum1 printed, you can see, and this is a lot better now. So if I now I can again use that sum1 here, and again add the same code, let's say 3 4. So for the first argument sum1 results of previous promise result, then for 3 4, and this sum2 I can print. So first after 3 seconds you will see sum1, again after 3 seconds you will see sum2. So that is the result, and again I can use the final result. So this is the final, and here I will use sum2, and similar to this 3 4 again same, see 3 4. So you will see you will be waiting after 3 seconds sum1, after 3 seconds sum2, and after 3 seconds you will see final result, which is the 20 printed. So this code is much better. So one thing you need to remember is that your next code, so this console.log will only execute after this await is successful. So once the promise is fulfilled, then only your this code will execute. So if you see sum1 you will see after 3 seconds, then you wait, your next sum2 is not printed immediately. So until you get this promise result, your next code will not execute. That's very important, you need to understand. So that's a good thing. So you don't have to check if you have sum2 or not, because only this code executes successfully, your sum2 will execute. And if there is any error handler executes, if there is some rejection happens, then for to handle that you need to attach that in the try catch block. Now if something fails, your catch will handle. So let's say here it's successful, you get correct data, but here I am printing hello. So what will happen after 3 seconds? So this someone returns a promise, so you will get someone printed after 3 seconds. And here what happens after 3 seconds, your promise gets rejected because this is not a number, so you are rejecting. So you will see inside if please provide only numbers, so immediately you will never see sum2. So after sum1 you will see that inside if, and then again directly you will see error occur. Now you will wait for 3 seconds, you will see someone, then you will see inside if, and immediately you will see error occurred because this promise is rejected. So this, whenever any of the promise similar to promises, if any of the promise in between gets rejected, your next dot then will not execute. So here also when any of the promise is rejected, your next code will not execute, it will directly go inside catch. That is you need to remember. So if you have everything is okay, so now let's say this is correct, I am printing 4, but this is wrong. So this is hello now. So this will take 3 seconds, this will take 3 seconds, you will see sum1 sum2, and after that you will see, you will not see this final. So this final will never be executed because this promise is rejected. So this sum function returns a promise which will reject it. So once it's rejected, your catch will execute. So you will never see this final printed. So if I save this, after 3 seconds you will see someone, again after 3 seconds sum2, and then you will see rejection immediately. You can see inside if an error occurred, please provide only number. And if everything is fine, then you will have to, then it will work correctly, you will get that data one after another, sum1 sum2, and then you will get final as the result. You can see. So if any of the promise in the promise chain rejected, your catch handler will be executed. You need to make sure whenever you are using await, always add try catch. don't, without try catch, don't use await, because if something goes wrong, your API is not working, your backend is not working, that you will get error and you are not handling that, so it will be issue, your application will break. So to avoid that, whenever using await, always use try catch. So you need to remember, your next code will only execute if this await is successful. So when something returns a promise, you can use await keyword. So some function, this some function is returning promise. So you are able to attach this await keyword. Now let's say this function returns this final sum. I want to get this. So now this function is async. As I said, whenever you declare a function async, it will always returns a promise. Now to get that final result data, if I try to directly use get some here, you will see a promise. So you can see promise is pending. So you will see someone 6 seconds, then some two, then you will see final, and you will never get that data which is you have created, because this function returns a promise. So to get the actual data, you need to attach dot then here, and I will just log this result, output result. So now you can see that log is not printed. So you can see you get output as the 22, which is the final sum. So here you are again, we are using dot then and dot catch. So you need to attach dot catch also. So when something is promised, so when you declare a function as async, it returns a promise. So you can again use dot then and dot catch. So if you don't want to use dot then dot catch, you can again declare that as a function. But just to get that data, declare as function. To avoid that, what you can do is you can use immediately invoked function expression. So this is known as immediately invoked function expression. So what we do is you declare a function here. You can make it normal function or arrow function, and you immediately call that. So this is the first round bracket, and then you call that function, and inside this you will declare a function. So now you can make this function as async. And now I can use this await here. Const sum equal to await get sum will come in this. Now this get sum you are calling, so you are not using dot then dot catch. So if you like await, always use, means I always use async await, which is a better way, and it's easy to see. If you see here, it's very easy to get that data what you are doing, instead of this complex dot then dot then dot then. So now what you are doing, we are immediately calling that function. So you are declaring a function, immediately calling that, and you are using await. So you will see that data sum to final and get sum 22 is printed. So this also works exactly same. So you need to remember, whenever something returns a promise, you can attach await. You can use await keyword to get the actual data. Async await is just a better way to work with promises. They are not different. So whenever you have some function which returns a promise, you can use await keyword to get that data directly, instead of attaching dot then to get the result. So that's a better way. So you need to remember. So if I don't add this console.log, what will happen? This will take 3 seconds, this will take 3 seconds, again this will take 3 seconds. So the final data that you are returning, this get sum will execute after 9 seconds. So this you, because each promise takes 3 seconds to execute. So if I don't have this console.log, you will see that get sum printed after 9 seconds. So if I refresh this, you will not see that data immediately after 3 seconds. You will see after 9 seconds. So you can see you are still waiting, and after 9 seconds you get that data. So you need to remember, when you are using await, or you are waiting for that much time. So if this sum Instead of some, you have some function which is making API call. So depending on that, how much it takes, your next code will not execute. So if you have something which is dependent on this is a better way, and it's also good to use that. So it looks better. So you have access to everything, all the previous result also directly inside. So if you are using promises, then you don't have access to all the previous. So here you can see, suppose I want to access this dot then result. So I am passing this to next dot then. But how can I access this in the last dot then? I don't have access to that because this is returned only immediately here. So if I want to access this result inside this last dot, then I have to declare a variable final result equal to something, and then whatever data comes here I need to attach equal to, let's say instead of this it's a response. So I can say response equal to result. Now I can use that data in the here response. So this is the extra code you need to write when you are using dot then and dot catch. So instead of that, what you can do is you can use async await. So which is a better way. So I have access to all the variable, all the promises data, whatever response comes. So here I can use someone also. So I can use any data. So if you have multiple promises, all that data is accessible to all your entire code. So that is the one more good thing about using async await. So it makes your code look cleaner and easy to understand, and instead of dot then and dot catch. So I always prefer dot then and dot catch. So it's not, if you don't want to use this immediately invoke function expression, you can use this code. So this is not bad because you are just using one dot then. But if you have multiple things you need to do, then you can use async await. So that's always the better thing you need to do.